So considering I barely know someone who actually watches Ring of Honor weekly, I don't think there's a more consistent pay-per-view cycle than the Ring of Honor pay-per-views have been. It has been slapping as of late. But did Death Before Dishonor buck the trend, or are we continuing this momentum? Let's dive into it. Hello and welcome to FTTR, I am Hugh McQuaid, and today we are talking about Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor 2023, a big show in the Ring of Honor calendar. But before we dive into that, please hit subscribe, please like this video, please comment your thoughts down below, and I'll try and reply to every single one of them as we dive into ROH. Now, ROH, I do not watch the weekly product. I only tune in for the pay-per-views. I've been tuning in for the pay-per-views since Tony Khan acquired the promotion. That's my little backstory on how I watch Ring of Honor. And to be honest, I think they do a good enough job of filling you in on some of the story elements in the shows that I don't really feel like I need to watch Ring of Honor week to week. I think the video packages and the commentary do such a good job of putting over the stories that I don't think I'm missing anything. I'm just tuning in for the class wrestling. And oh boy, this was a night of class wrestling. This was one of the strongest shows of the year with incredible matches, incredible storylines, and just a really good flow to it. One of the better shows of the year, and I'm going to dive into every match, every angle, everything that happened on the show as a review does, starting with the opening match, which was a Lucha Libre display of excellence from Commander taking on Gravity. Now, I am going to be completely honest, I have absolutely no idea who Gravity is. I've never seen Gravity, I've never heard of Gravity, but my God, Gravity is a very interesting, very captivating luchador in that some of his moves, I can't tell if he is botchy or if he's supposed to be a little bit clunky and a little bit sort of slower. I don't know how to describe it because obviously he did a lot of crazy moves in this, like the Gravity Fall arm drag that he did on Commander from the top rope, and like some of the falling and the walking in slow motion. So I don't know if some of his moves were supposed to look the way they did, but he got me on board with his character. Like, it's just cool. He's really cool and captivating and distinct luchador is Gravity. And these two put on a cracker of a match to open the show. I have many notes for many matches on this show. The wristlock takeover was my favourite spot, where he just did a fall. He just did a fall, basically, and dragged him down. It was really cool, really interesting. He did something that I've never seen before, a turnbuckle dive where he did the roll up the turnbuckle and then springboarded off the turnbuckle to the outside onto Commander. That looked insane. Commander, we all know, is just insane and hits insane springboards. He runs across the ropes, does these dives. He did a huge running across the rope into a springboard moonsault, which just looked insane. In the first 2 minutes of this match, I think Commander hit a shooting star press. So that tells you everything you need to know about this match. And yeah, it was eventually Gravity who picked up the win after reversing a top rope Frankensteiner from Commander. Very interesting. Gravity is now going on to face PAC on Dynamite, so this will be a big stage for Gravity on Dynamite to show what he can do in the ring to a broader audience who aren't watching Death Before Dishonor. But I love the way that ROH shows open with these really high octane luchador matches. It really, really gets the blood going, gets the fire burning under this show, and it was a fantastic way to kick off the show. The next match we got was Samoa Joe defending his Ring of Honor Television Championship against Dalton Castle. This was a weird one. I thought this was pretty good. I don't think it was fantastic, but I think some of the things that were off in some of these matches, and I think my main issue with the show overall, and one match in particular that we'll get to, is just the psychology and some of the things that are a bit weird. So, for instance, in this match, Dalton Castle was doing sort of a lot of heelish things, but Joe was obviously the heel, like him rolling out of the ring and, you know, screaming into the camera. That sort of seemed to get him boos, Dalton Castle, I mean. And Joe was obviously, he was playing the heel. He was beating down Castle a lot in the ring and working over him like a heel. So you had some interesting spots in there, like the catching atomic drop into a senton, into an elbow, which just looked great from Samoa Joe. I think he looked sick doing that. And he works over him for a long, long time. But Dalton, he makes a comeback, and Stokely Hathaway, who's sort of the GM of Ring of Honor, is on commentary, and he's sort of aligned with Samoa Joe. But the boys started to get involved on the outside, which presented Dalton Castle as being a bit more heelish, because he's got, backup. Joe's out there by himself. He sort of had Stokely. And then the boys get ejected from ringside after catching Dalton after he was falling off the apron. And Joe gets to his feet as Stokely's distracting the ref. Low blow, coquina clutch, passes out Dalton. Samoa Joe retains his championship. Nothing to complain about the in-ring stuff, to be honest. It's just the psychology. I thought the psychology of this match was a bit weird. And yeah, we'll see where Joe goes from here. Maybe I don't know if it was supposed to be Dalton Castle, because obviously there were a lot of changes made to this show. But it was odd. Weird match, this. This was very weird. Then we got one of the matches of the night, maybe one of the matches of the year, the Four Corners tag team match pitting Aussie Open against Best Friends, against Lucha Brothers, against the Kingdom. I nearly said the Righteous, the Kingdom. I've not taken any notes on this. I just wanted to sit back and enjoy this. And I did very much, because this was an absolute cracker. I think playing up... So a lot of this, again, with the presentation of Ring of Honor, feels a little bit like Dynamite Fuel. And this was a good example of that. I really think building a feud towards the Best Friends, towards Lucha Brothers, and doing that, spiraling it off from Ring of Honor, sure. And that was what the main crux of this story was. You had teams in there, the Lucha Brothers and Best Friends, who hate each other, and they were getting at odds with each other, leading to the ultimate finish. Now, I'm not going to brush over some of the moves in here, because some of the moves and sequences were insane. It's the Lucha Brothers. I'd go out of your way to watch this match. But I liked the story that they told, that the Lucha Brothers and Best Friends, their animosity towards each other, that's what cost them, essentially. The Kingdom were a little bit of nothing. No offense to them, but they were a little bit of nothing. It ultimately came down to Aussie Open being the most cohesive unit. Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis, they worked together the best. They were always hitting tag team moves. They always had each other's backs, and it was that catapulted them to the win, hitting their finish and picking up the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships. I'm so happy that Aussie Open have gold in Ring of Honor, and they have more gold around their waist, because they are fantastic. They are going to have certified bangers for those belts, guaranteed. And yes, spinning the Lucha Brothers off back onto Dynamite, I think is good. I think they're not above Ring of Honor, but I love seeing them on Dynamite. They could easily feud with the FTR, going into a feud with Blackpool Combat Club seemingly. So we're going to see where this goes, but this was a fantastic match that I would go out of my way to check out if you want to see tag team nonsense. It's fantastic. Then we got a promo from the Righteous. They are feuding with the Dark Order, and Stu Grayson is aligned with the Righteous now, leading to their fight without honor coming up later in the show. And then we got the match for the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team championships, as we had Master Wato, Ryu Taguchi, and Leon Ruffin taking on Mogul Embassy. If I was to cut any match from this show to maybe just lean it out a bit, I'd say this one. Even though I love the Mogul Embassy, I think they are presented so well. I just don't feel like this achieved much. It wasn't a really well built feud. It was just a match for match's sake, and they had a fun match. It's nice to see Leon Ruffin again. I feel like I haven't seen him in ages, since NXT North American champion, let us not forget. And yeah, it was just fun. This was just a fun three person tag, a 6-man tag, should I say. And there's not a lot to say. It was the Embassy destroying them. There were a few hope spots from the babyface team. Of course, Master Wato using his hip attack a lot, using his airs to take people out. But it was ultimately an insane sort of... Everyone just tossed Leon Ruffin in the air. All 3 members of the Mogul Embassy sat on him and won. It was cool. It looked really cool. And yeah, really cool ending to a match that I did feel was a bit unnecessary on the card, to be honest. Then we got, I think, my match of the night, which was Daniel Garcia taking on Katsuyori Shibata for the ROH Pure Championship. This was contested under Pure Rules. I love a Pure Rules match every now and then. And this was just fantastic. This really felt like a feud ender, which I appreciated. I don't want to see... I felt going into this, I'd seen these two go at it quite a lot. But this felt like the cap. It felt like we were capping off this feud for the Pure title in a banger. This was an absolute banger. It started off with intense technical wrestling, roll-ups, submissions, all that stuff. And Daniel Garcia is the first one to use the rope break. And he uses the rope break. And that's the only rope break in the entire match, if I remember correctly. I don't think they used the closed fist. I can't remember them using another rope break. This essentially just became intensity personified. And we're going to beat the ever-loving piss out of each other. And they did. So it was shockingly built around Daniel Garcia's dance and Shibata not liking the dance, which is funny. The dance is funny. It's over. Okay. But that led to some really cool spots where he was just getting under the skin of Shibata, doing the dance straight in front of him, and Shibata having none of it. Shibata sitting down while he does the dance, and then Daniel Garcia doing the dance but sitting down at the same time. I loved that. And yeah, it was no shenanigans. It ultimately came down to Shibata was the better man on that night, and he put away Daniel Garcia. He locked him in a sleeper, dragged him to the floor as Daniel Garcia is still doing the dance, hit the penalty kick, and won. Loved it. I absolutely loved this match. You should go out of your way to see this one. This is another one where I've not taken notes because I just wanted to sit back and enjoy it. But yeah, this was fantastic. There's easily some spots in there that I've missed, but I would genuinely go out of my way to watch this. This was a great pure wrestling match. Then we got something that came out of absolutely nowhere, and that was the Dark Order taking on the Righteous in a fight without honour. After seeing Blood and Guts, I was not over hardcore matches, but I was like, I don't think I'm going to see a hardcore match again. And then I saw Fight Without Honour, and I was like, ooh, maybe that's going to be a street fighty kind of thing. Maybe, add some rules. Oh, this is a very hardcore match, and and an insane hardcore match. There were some gnarly things in this. Stu Grayson speared Evil Uno through a table in about the first 30 seconds of this match, and it only escalated from there. Thumbtacks, blood everywhere. Evil Uno's favourite thing seems to be blood through the mask because he looks terrifying when he's bleeding through the mask. Lego, barbed wire boards. Dutch took a lot of punishment in this, one of those being getting tossed from the stage through the table with barbed wire on it, which looked nasty. Barbed wire, 2x4s. You had a huge black hole slam from Dutch to John Silver into the tacks, and you could see the tacks in Silver's back for the majority of the match, and that was nasty. But the story ultimately came down to it's between Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. Stu Grayson has turned on Evil Uno, and now we have these two clashing, these two former friends who've been friends for 20 years battling in this death match, and that's ultimately what ended the match. So Stu Grayson gets out a ladder, and it's one of the biggest ladders I've ever seen in my life, puts it in the ring, and he's going up. He's going to swanton Evil Uno through two tables that are on the outside, but Evil Uno gets up, lifts the ladder. Stu Grayson falls, crashes through both tables, which looks nasty. Then they get him in the ring and they hit the Dark Order finisher for the win. They pick up the win. Dark Order win the fight without honour. Great match. This is a great match, and another one that maybe, just because it came out of nowhere, maybe one of my matches of the year, because I absolutely loved it. I don't think I'm coming across because these next few matches, I barely wrote notes, so I'm just going off memory. But it was fantastic. One of my matches of the show. Then we got our co-main event. Claudio Castagnoli defending his Ring of Honor World Championship against PAC. Now, when I talked earlier about matches that I had issues with, This was definitely one of them. This was the main issue of the show for me, because I get you want to use blood and guts to fuel this feud. That's fine. I was completely okay with that. I think the issue coming out of blood and guts is there was no clear babyface in this match, because you had, at the beginning of the match, you had PAC rolling to the outside a lot and Claudio waiting to get in, which is a heel move unless it's Orange Cassidy. But he was rolling out of the ring a lot, biding his time, taking his time, and Claudio was doing babyface things. Claudio did the big swing at the request of the fans on the stage. So Claudio was seemingly presented as the babyface, but then snapped to the finish, Wheeler Yuta gets involved and costs PAC the match. So was PAC the face the whole time? I don't see how, coming out of blood and guts, either man is a straight babyface, and who I should really be getting on board with cheering, because Claudio also played the heel in that he worked over PAC for a lot of the match. So I don't really understand what they were going for with this. I don't know what they expected the match to be, and I just felt the dynamics were so off, particularly for a main event, that I just couldn't get invested. There were some really cool moves in here. I love Claudio just opening the match with his running uppercut and going for the neutralizer. I thought that's fantastic. And then a top rope Frankensteiner reversed from a powerbomb was awesome. Really awesome. PAC getting military pressed through a table to the outside looked insane. It was all good in-ring action, but the psychology was just so off that I could not get invested in this in the slightest, and is one of my most infuriating matches, I would say, of the year was this one, because everything in there was solid. You just needed a clear-cut babyface, because I didn't know who to cheer for, who to get on board with. But as I said earlier, Wheeler Yuta came down as PAC is going to the top rope and distracts the referee. Claudio gets the upper hand, hits his cross-jacket powerbomb, and wins. I think it was a very, very bizarre match for the championship. We were, of course, getting Blackpool. We had Blackpool Combat Club announced to be taking on Lucha Brothers and Best Friends for Dynamite, because Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends, they started brawling suddenly at the end of the match, and that set up this three-way. It was weird. It was a cluster F, this was. But we'll see where it goes from here. I personally wanted to see PAC win, but it is what it is. Then we got a match of the year contender as Athena defended the Ring of Honor Women's Championship against Willow Nightingale in a match that was way better than I think my expectations were, way better than nearly any match that I've seen for a long time. I absolutely loved this. These two went out there, had a war, finished their trilogy because they were both one apiece, and made me really believe that Willow could pick up the win here. This was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Some insane near falls off of finishes, off Athena hitting the Eclipse. I think it's still called the Eclipse. I can't remember if they called it that, but to me it will always be the Eclipse. Really nice near fall off of an Eclipse. Willow kicking out just at the right time. You had Willow's friends and family in the audience as well. That really hyped me up to think that Willow was picking up the win here and Athena's reign was going to end. Athena's on like a 31 winning streak as well, so it would have been momentous. They're really protecting Athena in Ring of Honor. And everything about it was just fantastic. I just sat down, watched it, and was taken aback by the drama. It was a drama-filled match, told a story, and ultimately it was a sad ending. And I really think it hit all the nails on the head, this match did. Like I said, I haven't got a rundown of spots for this because I didn't take notes, but the finish was really good for Willow, really protected Willow in defeat, and it was an Eclipse rolled straight through into a crossface from Athena, and essentially Willow passes out. The ref lifts a hand goes down, calls for the bell, Athena retains, and yeah, there's a show of respect at the end. Willow stands tall with Athena raises the hand of Willow. Perfect way to end the show, and it was the first women's match to main event a Ring of Honor show, and the first women's match to main event an AEW sort of pay-per-view, because I class ROH as under the AEW banner, in ever. I can't think of one. I don't think any have. But yeah, what a way to end the show. I thought it was fantastic, an absolutely fantastic match. And overall, Death Before Dishonor was a really strong show. I would say about 70% of it was great. There were some other bits that just niggled me a little bit or were a bit okay. But yeah, overall I'd give this 4 out of 5, one of the strongest shows of the year. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Did you love the show? Did you hate the show? Let me know everything you want about Death Before Dishonor in the comments below, and I'll try and reply to every single one of you. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.